Things are looking rough for Disney, and I'm talking specifically about the Walt Disney Company here. I'm not even getting into Pixar. If you look closely at what they've been trying in recent years, a lot of it has gone wrong. In fact, they've even tried to blame the audience for the current failures of their productions. You might have seen their line, "Stop complaining that Disney doesn't make original stories if you don't show up to movie theaters and support them in the first place." That was basically their message, not mine. I watched their movie Elio in theaters, and honestly, I thought it was very bad. But now they're trying something different. Instead of just churning out unnecessary sequels nobody asked for, they've moved on to something else. They're recycling their own ideas. They're copying themselves. And yeah, I think they've gone too far. Before we go on, drop a like to help the channel grow. I'd be really grateful. Think about how Disney is structured. It's a huge company, but you can split it into two main parts. First, there's Walt Disney Animation Studios, the top-tier, big-budget division that makes theatrical features like Encanto, Moana, and Wish. Budgets here are massive, north of $150 million. So the company has to minimize risk. They chase the safest bets because the stakes are huge. Then you have Disney Television Animation, the team that produces series for Disney Channel and Disney+. Budgets here are much smaller, and that's where riskier ideas usually live. In short, Walt Disney Animation Studios' output is far more valuable financially, but the TV division is where creative experiments happen. So here's the problem. At D23 2025, they announced a new film called Hexed, and it immediately sparked a huge controversy. People asked, wait, is this basically a copy of The Owl House? That's the first thought a lot of fans had. And to be honest, the coincidences are many. The Owl House was built as a TV series, and it became a massive success. Some even say it mattered as much as Gravity Falls. I think that's a stretch, but the point stands. The show was bold and layered. Its protagonist, Luz Noceda, is an awkward human girl who doesn't fit in, and she decides to become a witch. The Owl House succeeded because it was innovative and complex, a rarity on Disney Channel, and it also brought important LGBTQ+ representation to the table. But that complexity apparently went too far for Disney's higher-ups. The series was undermined and cut drastically in its third season. According to the show's creator, Dana Terrace, the serialized storytelling, darker themes, and the representation didn't align with corporate branding. In other words, the show pushed boundaries and was punished for being different. Disney saw the success, but still clipped the project's wings out of fear. If you still think fans are overreacting, check Hexed's official synopsis. Disney Animation describes it as focusing on an awkward teenager and his controlling mother. The turning point? They discover the kid's strangeness comes from innate magical powers that upend their lives. You could argue that the premise, a young person discovering a magical world, isn't new, and you'd be right. But the problem is how many pieces fall into the exact same places. The Owl House's Luz is a weird girl who doesn't belong. Hexed has an awkward teen. The only surface difference is a gender swap. The family conflict is nearly identical. In the Owl House, Luz's mother, Camila, dislikes the magical world and wants her daughter to be normal. In Hexed, the mom is controlling and is pulled into magic herself. See, the dramatic core of the family conflict is practically the same. What Disney did was take the dramatic skeleton of the Owl House and simplify it to fit a film. A clear sign of that intention is how magic works. Luz didn't have innate magic. She had to learn complex glyph magic over time, and that took many episodes to develop because the series had room to breathe. In Hexed, the magic is already inside the protagonist from the start, which accelerates the story dramatically. They turned a story about effort and learning into the classic Chosen One arc, faster, simpler, and much easier to fit into a single movie. Disney is recycling a success TV logline, sanitizing it to maximize the product's marketability. And that's why people are furious, calling it hypocrisy and self-copying. Disney allegedly sidelined The Owl House because its main character was an openly bisexual young woman and because the show was complex. Yet now, they seem to be using that same narrative skeleton, simply flipping the gender for the lead. It looks like Disney wants the engagement and popularity that representation brought to TV without actually risking representation at the global blockbuster level. Remember Pixar's Lightyear? That also didn't perform as expected. Another warning that makes studios more cautious about risky choices for big budget releases. There's a pattern here. Disney Television Animation works like a creative test lab for the film division. They let creators at the TV level, people like Dana Terrace, be bold and experiment on smaller budgets. If an idea sticks and generates engagement, the Walt Disney Animation Studios can pick up the concept, remove the risky parts, and turn it into a clean, profitable feature film. So Hexed is not just another movie, it's a symptom of creative stagnation at Disney. The company seems to prefer recycling a success TV logline, sanitizing it to maximize the product's marketability. If Hexed becomes successful, it will validate the strategy, that bold creativity only has value if it can be filtered, simplified, and sold without risk. That would mean we'll keep seeing inventive out-there series on TV, but they'll be cut short, killed off early, or repurposed into safe, soulless films. Honestly, I want Hexed to succeed. I want good stories. I get that the business logic is messy, and repackaging TV ideas can still give us interesting narratives we otherwise wouldn't get. But the process is ugly. Either we accept Disney copying itself to keep output flowing, or we hold to a principle that studios should respect the risk-taking and legacy of creators like Dana Terrace. So what do you think? Is Disney just being pragmatic, turning TV hits into safer movies? Or is this a betrayal of creative risk and the legacy of daring creators? Should the company respect the boldness of creators like Dana Terrace and let them finish their stories? Or is this simply business as usual and something we should accept? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more content like this. See you next time.